Hello folks and welcome to Bards and Books. I am Usman and today we are doing a tag video. This is Unpopular Opinions 2.0. So I was tagged by the lovely Anitha Gade and I will link her channel down below. She's a very supportive member of this community and you should absolutely check out her channel. I'm ready to go. I have my answers here. I have my good old beverage to help rile me up. And we are going to get down to it. So we have 8 questions here. I should mention that I did struggle somewhat to come up with these answers. So take everything you hear with a grain of salt. But that being said, by all means, spew your dislike or your hatred in the comments. Tell me why I'm wrong. I'm all ears. Or eyes, I guess. I'm gonna read them. So question 1, a genre great you don't get the hype for. The book I chose for this is The Shadow Rising, book 4 of the Wheel of Time, only because I hear so many people say it's their favorite and they just love it so much and all that stuff. My experience with the Wheel of Time was pretty up and down. Like, there was a lot of ups and downs. So this was the first major series that I picked up when I decided to become a persistent reader, I suppose. I have to say it was a pretty jarring shift from the first 3 books. Now, I heard that it was originally intended to be a trilogy, Wheel of Time, so that kind of makes sense. But yeah, the transition was just pretty jarring, and it felt tedious. Now, like I said, I know it's a lot of people's favorites, so that's great, good for you. But out of all the books in the series, it was definitely one of the more unforgettable ones for me. All right, question number 2, an adaptation you wish was never made. Oh, buddy. So there's a lot that I could list. Now, keep in mind that I am not someone who watches a lot of television or films or any of that kind of stuff. I prefer reading. I have other hobbies that I do. The only screen time that I really have is, watching YouTube. So there are many that I could list. One such that I have seen is The Wheel of Time. Another one that I haven't watched and I have no plan on watching is Rings of Power. One, because of the stuff I've heard. 2, because a lot of adaptations nowadays, even Wheel of Time, like so many, they're just too polished. They're too clean looking. And then there are other shows that I've watched, like One Piece. I've seen a couple episodes of that live action, and while being all right, it wasn't great. You know what I mean? A lot of these adaptations are just okay nowadays, and it seems to me like that's the bar nowadays. Just make it okay, and it's not. It doesn't draw me in. It doesn't make me like wanting to binge the series or anything like that. So that's where I stand there. Again, I don't watch a lot of television and movies and stuff. So if you ask me for adaptation I wish was never made, or I could do without, there's a lot of them. A lot of them. All right, question 3. A book or series you have to fight back your inner snob because you think people just don't get it. Okay, so the book I chose here was 11th Cycle by Kian and Ardalan. Now, this is a grimdark series. It's got a lot of explicit stuff in it, some brutal stuff, some really brutal themes. And I only picked this because I've heard a lot of people talk about why they dislike it. A lot of people did dislike it, and the reasons they give are because a lot of the explicit or brutal scenes didn't seem necessary. They could have done, they could have done without it, or it seemed like it didn't fit in the story. And I sort of disagree there because, I can get the sense of why people think this isn't really necessary, like to that extent, being that brutal and that explicit. But for me, it was all warranted. It all fit. It all conveyed the message that it was trying to convey. It was a good message too. It wasn't just, things don't just happen just for that shock appeal or anything. It happened for a reason. It's very obvious as you continue reading what that reason was. To me, it feels like one that maybe people just didn't understand or didn't want to understand because it was just too much for them. And that's fine. you know what? That's fine, but that was my answer here, and that's my reasoning for it. Now, since we're being spicy here, I am going to mention that I saw a review on YouTube someone did of this book, and in the thumbnail was written this, I believe it was, "This is why I don't trust men." And that is wrong for so many reasons. So that's all I'm going to say there. Let's move on. Question number 4, a book or series you're tired of everyone hating on. My answer for this is the Poppy War series. So that consists of the Poppy War, the Dragon Republic, and the Burning God. I've heard a lot of people hate on this series, like actively hate, with a passion. And I don't understand it. I mean, if you hate the series, I could see maybe because you hated the protagonist, and, this is a very unlikable protagonist here. I don't understand a lot of people hating a book or series just because they didn't like the main character. I'm pretty sure in this specific series, she was written like that on purpose. She's supposed to come off like that. So to hate someone or to hate a series because of that is just kind of odd to me. I came into this series with a historical perspective because I know what it's based off of. Like we know what it's based off of, the Sino-Japanese War. It's steeped in history. And so I was very curious to see where the plot would go, how the series would end and all this stuff. And to me, it made sense. It was done in a very unique and cool way, in a likable way for me. But I can see how it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, especially if you need a good payoff or plot's very important to you. If it's not for you, it's not for you, but you got to take into account these things, the fact that it is fantasy based off of history and whatnot. So that's my answer there. Anyways, how am I doing? Do you hate me yet? Number 5, a book or series everyone thinks is powerful, but you didn't connect with. Now, this might trigger a lot of people, but I choose Mistborn, Era 1. I haven't read Era 2 yet, but this is one of the earlier series I read as well, and I remember just thinking the world building, the magic system, it was all just subpar for me. I didn't really connect with it, and it was hard to connect with the story overall because of that. Now, I did finish it. I did somewhat enjoy it, but I don't think I connected with it as much as a lot of other people have connected with it. Number 6, a character you don't get the hype for. Oh, okay. So I switched this up. So I couldn't come up with an answer for a character that I didn't get the hype for. So I switched this to a character that I don't think people understand how good of a character he is. This is a character that I don't get the unhype for, I guess you can say. So my answer is Glokta from the First Law trilogy. Glokta is so good for so many reasons. His inner monologue is very gripping, it's intriguing, it draws you in to this character as a whole. His circumstances, like I said in a previous video, this is the character that has suffered the biggest fall from grace that I have ever read about. And to go from the top of the top to the bottom of the bottom, not just from a social standpoint, but from a physical standpoint, it doesn't get much lower than this character. And the fact that we go through his day-to-day struggles and like I said, his inner monologue, everything he thinks, and just watching him persevere through it, and hearing like the question he always asks himself is why? Why do I do this? Why do I continue? Why do I do this? That alone is so gripping. It's so intriguing. I mean, wouldn't you want to read about a character like that? So, I don't get when people say, "Oh, I didn't like him," or he's not that interesting, or he's evil, or he's mean, like there's no good in him. I've heard people say he's not a good character. And I disagree. To have the life that he's lived and to still he makes those decisions. He makes good decisions. You see it time and again that he is actually a good person deep down. He cares for people. He goes out of his way. He does good things. So to have a character like that still do those things. You can't deny that he is actually a good person. Sure, he does a lot of bad things, does a lot of evil things, you can say. If the circumstances were better, you know he would be good and do the right thing. Question number 7, a book or series everyone wants an adaptation for, but you don't. This kind of ties into the other question about adaptations. But the answer I'm going to give here is Mistborn. Actually, I think this is the same answer as Anitha gave. So, Mistborn, I don't need an adaptation for it. Like I've mentioned already, I don't. It didn't connect with me as much as maybe some other people. I have no interest in an adaptation for Mistborn. Maybe many of you would like that. I'm good. And question number 8, a book or series you think people have bias toward and don't love or hate as much as they claim. Now, I don't have a proper answer for this, like a book or series, but there is I suppose, a subgenre that I hear people talk about sometimes, and it doesn't seem genuine. It seems like they have some bias toward it, or they're just trying to hype it up for the sake of hyping it up, or tear it down for the sake of that. This is a lot of romantic-y stuff that I see. Well, I don't see a lot of it, but from what I do see, it just seems disingenuous. A lot of romantic-y series, like I think A Court of Thorns and Roses. I've seen people really hype that up, and I guess it is a very subjective thing. So from everything that I've heard from people that I've seen do vlogs of it and that kind of stuff, I don't see the appeal. Maybe only if you like spicy romance or something. I don't know. I haven't read it yet, so this is very unfair of me to say, but my brother has read it. That's another story there. He went into it blind. He likes to go into everything blind. And he read it, and he did not enjoy the first book at all. But he so graciously gifted me the box set. So, I have the box set of A Court of Thorns and Roses and all the other books here from my brother. Will I read it? Probably not, but never say never. I probably should not have shown you that, but you know, what's done is done. And maybe if I ever do read it, maybe afterwards I can solidify my answer here, or change it accordingly. So I am going to go ahead and assume that this is one that people have bias towards, this subgenre at least. I could be wrong. I could be very wrong, but I needed to come up with an answer for this, and that is my answer. It might be a hot take, and I apologize in advance. So that's it. Those are all the questions for the Unpopular Opinions 2.0 tag. I'm very sorry if I upset many of you. Spew out all your hatred. Get it all out in the comments section if it makes you feel better. If anything, if that relieves your stress or whatever you need to do, go ahead. My comment section is open to you all. Consider that a way of me apologizing, I guess. I don't know. I'm just rambling now. So that's it. Those are my unpopular opinions, if they are unpopular. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, you can like. If you disliked it, go ahead and dislike. I won't hold it against you. If you enjoyed it a lot, subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing a lot more tags in the future and other bookish content and whatnot. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and I will see you next time.